So I now have the privilege of calling up Nate Buzz. Beyond his work on screen, Nate has become a strong and outspoken supporter of Israel, as you saw, guided by a deep and visible Christian faith. Come on up.
I'm going to take the use of denim. You're not going to get 60 seconds out of me either, so everyone get comfortable. I got stories.
We'll see about that. Yeah. All right, Nate. Many people know you from your acting career, but is there a moment behind the scenes or a personal experience in that world that shaped who you are today in a way that people might not expect?
Two stories I want to share. First story is I think many people in Israel saw this Australian actor from Hollywood pop up out of the blue on October 7th. And there's such a greater story behind that. Before that moment could ever happen where I could take a bold stand for this nation, my story with Israel really begins on a dusty field in Iraq where I was crying out to God to end my life. It's a long story of how I got there, which I wish I could give you more detail on. But
you only have 60 seconds.
I only have 60 seconds. So I'm going to tell you how God responded to my request. He asked me a question. If you're that willing to give up your life, what's the difference between me taking it and you giving it to me? And in that moment of time, I didn't surrender out of despair. I chose to surrender out of obedience. From that moment in Iraq, I returned to the US, where I had been a Christian who had never read the Bible before. So I professed Christianity, but I'd never read the text. Over the next 28 days, I would read the entire Bible, cover to cover, and one word stood out in my mind, and that word was Israel. And I realized, as a Christian, if I'm to believe in a Jewish Messiah and the God of Israel, I need to understand the modern state of Israel and the people who live there today. So I made a trip to Israel in 2017 and went on a journey to discover the truth. And when I got here, I realized the truth was here, not just in a place, but also in a people. And that changed me forever. But over a 7-year period, God had put me through a preparation where I was willing and able to take a bold stand for Israel after October 7th. The other story that I want to talk about, which I think is far more important, is what God does when people are obedient. At the beginning of the war, I flew out to Israel on the 27th of October, and I was meeting with survivors, victims from the Nova Festival, from the kibbutzim, and I was on a mission to share their stories. One evening, I was on my way to Ashkelon Hospital where I was confronted by a woman who asked me, who said, "Thank you for coming." I didn't know who she was at the time, but she had told me that her brother was shot 7 times in Gaza and he was currently in a coma. So I elected to go into the room to meet with her and see this young man. And I was confronted with the reality of what hatred really looks like when a nation gets rebirthed by the promises of Hashem and other nations around it want to destroy it. What do you do in that moment of time where you see a young man in a coma and you've been told that more than likely he won't come out of that coma? If he does, he'll have permanent brain damage and more than likely he'll never walk again. So I did the only thing that I knew I should do as a Christian, which was to pray. So I prayed and I left it at that. A month or so went by and we got news that that young man had come out of his coma. And I had the opportunity to meet him. I had the opportunity to build a friendship and a relationship with him. And I remember one thing that I said to Ben, which was really important to me. I said, "I prayed for you, but Hashem brought you out of that bed. So now you owe him a favor." And I actually commanded him to start wearing tefillin because I felt it was incredibly important for him to actually return to his faith. And so he did. And every single day he would send me a picture with him wearing his tefillin. Now here's where the story gets incredible, and this story only actually kind of comes to its fullness tonight. I'm in a cab this evening with Ben. And Ben tells me, I've been in America and I've been talking to, Christians and you know what I do, Nate? I get to know them. And then when I meet these people in government office, when I meet these people in positions of power, the last question I ask them, these Christians, is, "Are you going to church? Are you going to church?" And if they say, "Oh, not really," he says, "You should go more." Now, here's the beautiful thing. A Christian and a Jew inspiring others. Now, what's incredible is Ben is here. This is Ben. I don't know if he likes me doing this. But the reason why I think this is so important, because when I see Ben... This is what Israel represents to me. A Christian and a Jew with the same task, to inspire people back to God. And I've seen miracles. I've been able to witness miracles, and I'm standing in a place that by default is a miracle because it was a promise made by God to bring this nation back together, and we get to stand here and experience that. But not only that, we get to watch the miracles unfold every single day. And so that, for me, is amazing.